Punk Rock Elite, a podcast about NOFX. Hello.
Hello.
Well, who do we have here if it isn't our favourite listener? Come back for another episode.
Oh, look at you.
Oh, whatever you've done, it's working for you. Absolutely work it, miss thing. Okay. Well, that's the niceties out of the way. Welcome to Punk Rock Elite, a podcast about NOFX. I'm Eddie French, and I'm joined by...
Red Redmond, that's me.
That is you. And, well, we've got an interview today.
It's a goodie. If you're listening, and you will be, to hear these words, you've chosen wisely. Good episode.
Really, really quite a good episode. It's up there, I think. We've been very, very fortunate in that we genuinely have been enjoying each subsequent episode just that little bit more than the previous, but this has really kicked it up another notch.
Oh, like just such a really, I don't know, like a really accommodating guest. Like they really got stuck into the questions. Lots of personality. Didn't hold anything back. Very honest.
Some of our favourite answers for the questions, but you'll have to wait for that. But let's not jump ahead too much. This podcast is also about us. Hi, Red. What have you been up to?
I've been gigging. I've been doing some gigs.
Nice.
I've been filming those gigs and putting out little clips on my social media, mostly on Instagram. My handle is MX Red Redmond. So plenty of stuff on there at the moment.
MX stands for Muxter.
It does. Also, and I've just realised there's a man abseiling past my window.
What, like the milk trait guy?
Like I'm in an apartment, and there's a man abseiling past my window. And the thing is, there's been a man abseiling past my window for the past 3 days, and I feel like at this point, is it recreational?
I wonder what he's looking for. Is it?
I think it's cladding, isn't it? We're in the UK post Grenfell, so it's definitely cladding.
Yeah, we're a post Grenfell setup. So yeah, basically he's just outside with a Bic lighter, trying to work out whether your apartment building is in the least bit safe or if the codes are ignored in exchange for money.
I wouldn't mind. I mean, you could at least send them up there with a window cleaner. You know, if we're going to have someone abseiling for 3 days down the side of the building, at least send him up with a mop and bucket.
Yeah, just a squeegee just on the belt. You can have it like one of those ski passes they have on the retractable thing. You know, that would be all right. Well, I'm very sorry you're being taunted by a man who refuses to clean.
No, it's all right. It's just
and let's face it, if you got yourself a man who refuses to clean, girl, you need to get rid of him.
Damn straight, honey.
Absolutely. So this is why I don't do drag. There are many reasons I don't do drag, but I wouldn't be good at it.
But what have you been up to recently?
Well, I had I've not been gigging quite as much lately because I had a big job on that was essentially fitting out an entire apartment with furniture.
Oh wow!
Yes, that was a good few days, and then I went to a wedding in Hereford to see a friend of mine who I went to university with, and some people who I hadn't seen since university were there, and that's like over 20 years. Well, over 20 years since we first met, nearly 20 years since we sort of left university. So. It was lovely. It was a very, very nice time, thankfully. But it was very, very strange to be sat around with people who I remember as being youthful, vibrant, and they were all sat around with crow's feet and sort of smile lines, and everyone's. It was really weird because there were people there who I remember who were always wearing hats. And now their hairlines are sort of receding quite a lot, and it's like, guys, you did the hats at the wrong time of life. You could have, you had beautiful hair when you were 19. Should have been rocking that shit, and now you go, well, I've now moved into the hat era of my life, and you go, like that. It's that. So we're all stupid when we're young. We all learn. But yeah, so
How do you feel about like weddings and formal events as a non-binary person? I can normally find a bit sort of like, I don't know. I try not to bother because I find it a bit weird. But do you find it weird?
I didn't find it weird. I mean, if you had ever met my friend Dylan, who was getting married, you would just be interested to see what the wedding of that individual would be like.
Sure.
A very singular individual, my friend Dylan. A very, very singular. I've never met anyone like him, and people think I'm exaggerating, and then I introduce them to Dylan, and they go, "Oh, you weren't fucking around. That is someone, a wonderful, wonderful guy." But no, I was full butch. I was in a 3-piece navy blue pinstripe suit.
Lovely.
That my mother made. My mother's a tailor. She sewed my new blue jeans. That's what you got to say when you talk about your mum being a tailor. And so I was possibly in the most exclusive suit there. But I did enjoy it. I didn't mind. It is a bit. Luckily, it was a sort of a legal wedding rather than a religious wedding.
Yes, of course.
So the ceremony was very sort of. It wasn't talking about like a man and woman in holy matrimony or anything like that. It
sure,
was very much
not a very traditional wedding.
Yeah. It was these two people and stuff like that. So there wasn't much. I don't really, gendered language doesn't impact me hugely.
No, I know. I also want to make clear, it's not like the language necessarily that makes me feel uncomfortable. It's normally just like the choice of like dress or suit.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, there was a secret extra choice with this, you see, because Dylan his family are Indian. He was born in London, but his family are Indian. And so the groom's side, family-wise, and some of his friends from school and stuff were Indian. But the invitation came out and said the dress code is summer formal. Said Dylan and Lara will be getting married in Western summer formal. If you would be more comfortable in Indian formal, please do wear it.
Yeah.
And the only person who decided to do that was a guy known as American Ed, or was it Ed from America? A business associate, someone who works with Dylan's company in Florida. He got himself some formal Indian attire, and his Florida tan was not convincing enough. And so there was one white guy in Indian dress, and everyone else pretty much in sort of suits with sort of various flair and this, that, and the other. So I could have gone that route. And look like Jonathan Mayer, but I can't look like Jonathan Mayer. No one can. That's another remarkably singular individual.
For those of you who aren't aware, Jonathan Mayer is a fabulous comedian based in the northwest of England, who I represent as an agent, and he is wonderful. Just such a lovely, delightful presence to be around.
Yes,
one of the best headliners on the UK comedy circuit.
Absolutely, yes. I was going to fill in some of that information, but sadly, Jonathan is not the household name that he deserves to be. Absolutely. So one day we won't have to introduce him like that. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so that's what I did. So drove to Hereford and stayed in an Airbnb, which was lovely. Even though the owner of the Airbnb, she had put her son's Oxford graduation picture on the way to the bathroom, so you had to walk past it every time you needed to use the lavs. So just a stranger holding a diploma with the mortarboard and stuff on, Oxford graduate 2020, and which sure I'd be kvelling as well. So we'll all be proud of it. So yeah. But yeah, wonderful time. Unfortunately, very few of the people there are big fans of punk rock. I'm a bit less than Jake in that all my best friends are metalheads.
Very good.
Yep. So I was just trying to bring this back to punk rock instead of what I did on my summer holidays.
Well, you know who is a big fan of punk rock?
Oh, I think you're going to tell me.
Lilly from the Meffs.
I'm still Lilly from the Meffs. Thank goodness I didn't do that during the interview. That would have been embarrassing. It's the Meffs. We've spoken about them in our post Leeds breakdown of what we saw when we saw NOFX. First band on, and they left such a lasting impression. We thought, we've got to talk to them.
Absolutely.
And Lilly was very, very gracious. She gave us an hour of her time, and what a great chat. We've just recorded it, I will point out, so it's fresh in the mind. But yeah, such a lot of good stuff. We're not going to spoil it. Should we just launch straight in?
I think we should. Let's give them the goods.
Here we go. So with no further ado, here's Lilly from the Meffs. And we are truly fortunate to be joined by Lilly from the Meffs. How are you doing, Lilly?
What's up? Yeah, I'm doing very well. I'm very hot, and that's a good thing.
A lot of that going around at the moment. Yeah. We are. We're in our heat wave in the UK. We've just stopped calling it summer and just called it unnatural heat wave from now on.
Just called it climate change. Yeah.
It's just like, let's enjoy the beginning of the catastrophe, because the rest of it's going to be appalling. So enjoy it.
It's only going to get hotter, right?
Yeah, apparently so. Thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, of course. Well, we were fortunate enough to see you at Leeds on the NOFX show.
Yeah.
You opened the show to a criminally under-attended. I think everyone who missed out should have really have a word with themselves, because it was fantastic. Did you enjoy those shows?
Oh, absolutely loved it. Totally agree. If people missed out, they've mugged themselves off. Like, that's it. That's the bottom line. We loved it. Like, Leeds was a good one to start with, because it was probably the smallest of the three in terms of like site and numbers. Hatfield was just insane because it's super local to us. And then Austria was completely different again. So it was great fun.
Amazing. You got three of those, because you're on the fat subsidiary Bottles to the Ground, aren't you?
We are indeed. Yep. Yeah. Best label in the world.
There you go.
It's Fat Wreck.
I've been paid to say that. Mike paid me on the quiet.
Yeah. I don't think Mike's done anything quietly.
That's true.
I'm amazed he didn't just burst in. I told her to say that.
Yes. He's actually hiding under the table right now.
He loves that. I've read that.
I've actually I need to apologize to Lilly personally before we move ahead. Basically, when we saw you at Leeds, the NOFX show in Leeds, right after your set, we went and got some food, and then we were walking down the queue. We saw one of our friends in the queue. I waved at one of my friends in the queue. You were stood in front of my friend, and you waved back.
Oh,
and then
no.
I felt like shit for the rest of the day. I'm like, oh no, I've upset one of the Meffs, and they were great.
Yeah.
To be fair, I wouldn't have even known if you didn't tell me that right then. I thought we were friends.
Right?
I thought I was coming into like a friendship group right now. Oh my God. It's all good. We can rewind that.
I tried to like style it out and pretend it didn't happen, and then like Eddie made sure of like reminding me later in the day.
Yeah,
and I was just like, oh no, just dying of cringe.
To be honest, no. To be fair, I let you enjoy it for the rest of the day, and then when we did the post Leeds episode where we ran down our day of that, I made it. I reminded you, and that was when Red really lived up to their name.
You got to keep that going. You got to keep that going.
I thought I'm not spoil the day. No major harm has been done. But yeah. So Lilly. So what? How did you get into punk rock and all the rest of it? What's your secret origin?
Oh, when I was a lot younger, I remember my sister. She used to record stuff for me on CDs and tapes. It started off with cassettes, obviously, and she used to record stuff like The Offspring, like NoFX, Green Day, Distillers, like all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Blanking out all the swear words, bear in mind. So she would literally go through and turn the volume down to blank it out and put it back up. It wasn't until I was an adult that I was like, oh my God, these bands swear. I thought they didn't. I thought it was like, So yeah,
Wow.
quite young, probably when I was about 10 or so, like started listening to all that sort of stuff. And then, just found my way into like this sort of 70s punk scene in the UK, which I love, Lewis loves. And then sort of worked my way back into that American punk scene, which is sort of, I guess, where we sit a little bit now.
Because I was going to say, because your sound doesn't really sit, presumably why Balls to the Ground rather than Fat Records. Your sound doesn't really sit. The Meffs I'm speaking about doesn't really sit in that sort of American skate, for want of a better word. It's got a lot more. It's got a lot more 77 about it. It's a lot more of those kind of things on it. And so, is that sort of actively trying to sort of blend those two, or is it just comes out how it comes out?
Yeah, it just came out how it came out, to be honest with you. Like, there's only two of us, so there's only so much you can do in terms of, like, we don't have a running bass line that we can chuck in like Rancid can do. Do you know what I mean? We can't fit into that sort of sound. And what we do is just, it's just what we do. And I think because we like a bit of everything, it just sort of, it depends what song you're listening to as to what genre it sort of fits into.
Yeah.
And I like that with music.
Yeah.
And I think also, there's, I don't know, in some genres of punk, there's almost like face don't fit. And if your face don't fit, you're never going to drop into it. And I think we're one of those bands where face don't fit in a few of those subgenres of punk, but we're pushing into them and we're making people listen. So.
Well, yeah, I think there's you and another two-piece punk band who are pushing themselves in, like Bob Villain, for example. There's sort of a lot of parallels can be drawn with that. We are just going to carry on. It's going to happen whether you want it to or not. So
yeah, exactly.
Resistance isn't going to do a great deal in this situation, which is why I think you two are two of the more exciting, the most exciting of the sort of newer. Everyone's an overnight success for 10 years after they started.
Right. I like news good.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But that's the kind of thing, that's the really exciting stuff. So, when did the Meffs form? How did that come about?
So I was in another band before, another two-piece, just a local band. There was no sort of success, if you like. It's just very local, playing in the pubs. And then we decided to call it a day. We wanted different things. It was like a relationship breakup. Do you know what I mean? It was like that. We want different things. We want different paths in life. And I just saw a picture of Lewis online playing an electric drum kit. And I was like, I'm going to message him and just say, do you actually play? And he replied and was like, yeah. And I said, should we do something? And he went, yeah, right. As Lewis does. Lewis is, a person of very few words. And it just sort of went from there. We had a rehearsal 2019. He was very hungover from Download Fest, and it went really well. And then lockdown hit.
Yes, that's your first releases out on Bandcamp were lockdown tapes, that kind of thing, weren't they? So
was that a bit of a rush? So we were sort of stopped for about 2 years, obviously. Only 5 months into being a band, but it did us good. To be fair, we could, did us good for some reason.
You certainly seem to have made that distance back, because it's been sort of quite a meteoric rise, which is very, very exciting. So I just remembered. I wanted to point out you were talking about sort of how there are some limitations to being a two-piece band. Didn't notice any limitations when we watched you, because the sound was absolutely wild. I mean, it was. We spoke a lot about the sound quality of or the mix and all that stuff about when we were there, because that's what people really get excited about. They want stage monitor chat, but the sound that you two can produce is just vast and super impressive. And whoever was doing your sound 10 out of 10, no notes. It just sounded wonderful in that
cool.
in that
That
10.
was they were house people. They were the people that were there just working slam dunk, I think.
Amazing.
It was really interesting because like we thought like you sounded like clearer than pretty much the other bands on the bill. And what really like struck us was like how like chunky your guitar sounded, even though like we'd watched bands on that day with 3 guitarists, and yet for some reason it was your Telecaster that just stood head and shoulders above them. How do you make that sound from one guitar? Are there like secrets or?
So I'm like not techie at all. So when I started playing, I just realised the Telecaster sounded good. It sounded nice. So I got one, and it's the one I play now. And I was like, okay, I need another telly because I need a spare telly because the worst thing is being a 2-piece, you can't just let the bassist or someone else carry on while you go and sort your guitar out. You need one that you can literally strap on in 5 seconds. So got a spare one. They sound nothing alike. I've asked loads of people. I'm like, why does this one not sound beefy like that one? And they're like, it's just different Telecasters. I'm like, that's not possible. They're all guitars. They should all just sound the same, no?
Yeah.
And everyone tells me no. So the answer to that is I have no idea. But there's something about that telly. It's single coil pickups. It's like super basic. It's great. Love it. Don't know why. It's just beefy. Yeah.
Having a band, not a fat band, but a Bottles to the Ground band, it's people who've been sort of involved in. That's really, really exciting. And so I don't feel you have to sugarcoat anything with regards to talking to ultimately your boss's band.
Definitely won't sugarcoat.
We get the impression it ain't getting back to him anyway. No. He's got far more interesting things. So, when was the first time you remember hearing NOFX?
Probably on like some sort of Kerrang compilation, when they used to do like I don't know, like skate punk edition #1, and there was just like random songs on it, and you always had like Blink and you always had those mainstreams, but then you used to get sort of the indie mainstreams. So you used to get like the NoFX, the Rancid on the sort of indie labels at the time. So yeah, probably back then. I never had like a NoFX record as a kid. I never had like a full album. I just used to get, like I said with my sister, I just used to get like mixtapes or mixed albums. So yeah, probably on something like that, or would have been through Kerrang, definitely.
Yeah. They Kerrang would they'd have that kind of thing, or they'd have like a CD with like just an old picture of a guy with a red mohawk, and then it would all be like modern punk stuff. It's like you got a 77 guy on it, and it was here are the Get Up Kids. Oh yeah, that fits. But,
yeah.
Or it's probably just a picture of Mo Rap, but
marketing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is punk, right? And then you got some power pop with keyboards going on in it, and it's like, I can totally get it.
I don't think Kerrang have moved on in terms of their marketing. Don't put that out, or do, but yeah.
I don't think Kerrang are the kingmakers they used to be. I think any print media is the kingmaker that it used to be. No. I mean, they some people feel that they peaked with their TV channel, and
of course,
and it's possible that they were right, but P-Rock had a lot less new metal on it, so I always favoured that one, but. This is my own personal taste. Lovely. Well, we've got a list of questions that we sort of ask everybody. So I think I sent them to you. If you had a look or not, it's fine. We'll find out all the answers now. Do you have a favourite NoFX song?
So I do have a favourite, and it's probably "Leave It Alone," and more so from seeing them live on these shows, because I think they played it at like every show. When they do harmonies to that song live, they're great.
Yeah.
They're insane. They're so good. And just the way the song's written, it's a 3-part song. I think it's very different to like a normal punk song in that it's got like 3 different sections. It's all catchy. There's a hook in every section. Yeah. And just that song, I could listen to that. It's always on if I make like a playlist or something, that's going to be on it.
Nice.
Fantastic. It's a really, really popular one. That's come up a few
really?
times. Yeah. People are. I think there was a music video for it, but it wasn't really played in the States. I think it was played on like M2 over here a bit, but it was a pretty cheap and shonky video, as one would expect.
Perfect.
I didn't want to, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think it's. But you're right. Yeah, it's super catchy, and those harmonies are amazing, and the added having Karina Denike added to it. You'll have to forgive the Karina Denike worship. I've realised I've actually become slightly obsessed with just how incredibly talented she is.
Yeah.
It's just one of those.
That's all right. Keep it going.
Awful. I know. I should, but Red has to hear it every episode. The guests hear it once and then they leave, and they go, they were very enthusiastic about Karina, weren't they? Red's got to sit through it all. So, but you're right. That was a real highlight, because we got all of Punk in Drublic. The majority of Punk in Drublic at Leeds.
Yeah.
And so we knew it was coming, but it's weird. It's not one that I sort of gravitate to, but when I see it live or it just gets played, I go, oh yeah, it's one of those. It's like a treat that I always get coming back again. But it is wonderful. It's fantastic. Do you have a favorite album by NOFX?
It's Punk in Drublic. Like, as much as everyone probably says that, it's true. It's great. I'm not a NOFX worshipper.
Sure.
By any means. But that's an album that I could listen to start to finish.
Yeah.
And probably wouldn't skip any songs, which says a lot, because if Lewis was here right now, he'd be laughing, because if a song is longer than about a minute and a half, my attention's gone. I've skipped it. We're in the car, we're doing like a 10-hour journey, and I'm like skipping after a minute and a half every song. In the end, he falls asleep. So that album has done well to keep my attention, probably because the songs are so short. So
they are very short songs.
Kudos, yeah.
Well, there's also they're not always sort of verse chorus verse, which I suppose if you've got a limited attention span, if it goes, I've heard this before. I just heard it just now. That's not interesting anymore. So Mike's insistence on peculiar song structures is probably very, very good for that.
It is good, and it's quite weird because our songs are not like that at all. Ours are very like verse, chorus, probably a bridge, chorus done. So I hate to think anyone like me who listens to our songs, they must be skipping all the time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They're like, God, she's done that chorus twice now. But
this is a double chorus. All
double
right,
chorus. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a cracking choice. It's because we've been looking at all of the episodes, all of the albums, all of their sort of major releases, and sort of going into them and actually sort of listening to them properly again, rather than just sort of, because when you're you first get an album, especially when you're a bit younger, you sort of get it and you listen to it, a couple of times through. You sort of really want to sort of get it, you proper, especially if when you're having to buy physical media. Like, I've spent £10 on this. I need to make sure that I enjoy it. This has to not be a mistake. And
so you make sort of yourself like it.
Yeah, you just sort of rinse through and you go, no, that's that was why Be Here Now by Oasis sold so many, and then was the most returned album of the 90s.
Really?
Apparently.
Oh wow!
So,
That's a fact.
Because everyone was like, the NME used to have a thing where they were like, the top 5 albums sold to secondhand record shops, and Be Here Now was at the top of it for months.
Oh, I like that. I like having that bit of knowledge.
It's good, isn't it? Because people just used to, people were sort of buying and go, oh, no, New Oasis is amazing. Like, it's got to be, New Oasis is amazing. And then they just went, I fucking can't. And just take it down there, and
wow.
Like, I got £2 for it. Well, that was a pint in the 90s. You're fine, that's all right.
That's true.
Drink it away. But so that's and they never quite recovered, bless them. But anyway, so but that's it. When you get an album, you sort of really want to, and I sort of I worry that being able to skip stuff, because if that was a tape player in your car, you'd be less inclined to and then rewind it back again to the but if it's being streamed from your phone or something, and you've got the controls for that on steering wheels now, you can just move your thumb half an inch and you're just skipping it. It's
Streaming's bad for me. For that reason, yeah. I must listen to about 700 songs a day, I think.
That's not bad for the artists.
No, true.
There you go. You're just filling up plates on tables. That's good.
That's my excuse. Yeah.
I'm doing it for the artists. What do they want? Attention or money?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Do you have a favorite NOFX lyric?
I was thinking about this one when you sent me the questions. So
tough.
Mine isn't something probably that would normally stand out, but in Franco and American, when they sing "Let the whales worry about the poisons in the sea," that line strikes it to me, because that's what our songs are about, that sort of stuff. And I think it's really funny when I look at like some of the trolls and stuff on some of our videos on the Fat Wreck site, and how they're like, oh God, they're singing about, like, do they ever sing about anything that's not about themselves? Like, can't they just sing about just like normal stuff? Like, you know, I'm like going to have beers with my bros, and I'm like, have you listened to NOFX lyrics? Like, they are super political. They're super like taking the mick out of people doing silly things in the world.
Super personal.
Really personal. And I think like that line for me is a really good example of that. And that's a line I want to throw back in their face and be like, do you even know what that means? Do you know what they're singing about? Because like, this is real life, and Mike's been singing it for years, and I think people haven't realised. People just think they're like a skate band and they're just singing about skating and hanging out and drinking, but actually there's a lot more to it than that. So that lyric for me.
I remember people saying when War and Erosion came out, they go, I don't know if they should be singing about politics. They go, they've not just started. It's not just some weird heel turn that they've done, where they're just suddenly like, oh, right now we are anti-flag. It's it's so weird. It's like you see it on I sort of first noticed it when the BLM stuff started up, and lots of bands were like, you know, the Blackout on Instagram and all of that kind of stuff, people talking about it, and people are going, God, I can't believe Bad Religion are jumping on the BLM bandwagon. Like, what band were you listening to that you thought was Bad Religion?
They're literally like overtly singing about it as well. There's no cover up.
Like, you need a degree in political science just to understand half of these lyrics. And you're there like, oh, I can't believe, get woke, go broke.
So true.
Like, oh, this Rage Against the Machine, they used to be good time party frat boys, and now it's all, we don't like Bush very much. It's
no, definitely
just madness. And I don't understand where it comes from. And then, my favorite, which is then the people go, well, actually, it's more progressive to be in favor of conservative politics. Is it? That is more punk, in it, because that is not mainstream. It's literally everyone in power is right wing at the moment, and wherever you look, that's weird, mate.
Literally, we're never getting out of this mess because people are voting for them still. They can do anything and they still get voted for.
Yeah, because someone with dyed hair looked a bit sad once, and that's probably worth it.
Oh God.
It's insane, but let the whales worry about the poisons in the sea.
Great choice.
It's great, and it's one of those brilliant character songs that Mike is so good at. Of this sort of, and it's probably partially personal, but you know, that sort of naive person just wandering through life, just going, well, everything seems to be okay. I won't scratch the surface, but I'll carry on, and that's a device he employs quite a lot, really, isn't it? It sort of sings about what's wrong by singing about how there's nothing wrong from the perspective of an idiot.
Yeah, and that's really clever songwriting, isn't it? Like, when you think about it, because like we all do it to some extent. We all do the whole, well, it's not really affecting me right now, so like I do care about it, but right now I'm like really busy on this other thing, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. And that's essentially like what that song is saying. It's not even saying that like this person is like deliberately not, like deliberately being stupid. It's just that they're just naivety, then that's just not knowing.
It's not sort of head in the sand on purpose. It's just sort of
head in the sand.
Just head in the sand. Just head in the same sand. We've all got it in because it's a lot easier to have a have a society where people are just sort of gently rolling along,
Yeah.
without touching the sides too much, and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's that's a cracking. That's great. Was that when you? I'd like to know these things. When you sort of were thinking about that, was that one that just sort of leapt out, or did you have to sort of give that quite a lot of?
That's one that leapt out. I love that song as well. So that helps. Like that's in the top 5 probably of songs that I like. Yeah, just because I always hear that lyric when it plays. Do you know what I mean? So when I was thinking about it, there's lots of like good lyrics. There's what's the I can't remember the song name now.
For the benefits of
no
people
fun
who don't
in
have the...
no fun in fundamentalism.
Yeah, no, I just like the bit there because you were holding your hand to your head and it looked like you were a unicorn for a little bit.
Oh, that's cute. I always wanted to be a bit of a unicorn, but
I think we all are.
Never happened.
Oh yeah, no fun in fundamentalism.
Yeah, there's a few lines in that where I'm like, God, it's so close to the edge, but that is clever.
Yeah.
Like again, another example of a song where like it's pushing it, but it's very clever how it's written.
I really like the song 72 Hookers for that reason, because sort of about how the sort of the taboo of sexuality and seeing women as humans rather, and all that kind of stuff, and the coverings, face coverings, head coverings and stuff. And it's sort of, it sounds really, on the face of it, it sounds really fratty. It's like, why don't we just send a load of working girls over to the Middle East and, you know, everyone will be happy. But it's sort of more about, if you do repress natural sexuality, it causes wild problems in society, which are also reflective of Western societies as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just sort of writ very, very clear in more authoritarian, overtly authoritarian things. And so, you know, you could think that some of those are sort of quite unsavory lyrics, and he's using, you know, what we deem to be less than desirable terminology for sex workers and all the rest of it. But it's like, but that isn't the point of the song.
No.
The point of the song is actually one of sort of alarming levels of feminism and progressiveness. But you know, it wouldn't be NOFX if they did it using the appropriate terminology.
No. And that's a really good point as well, because like you mentioned Bob Dylan earlier, and like I remember when We Live Here came out, and I remember some of the terminology that's in that, and I was like, whoa, that's pretty brave to put that in a song. Like I can't remember I can't remember the exact words now, but it was terminology that you just wouldn't use. And but exactly like you say, like it was done for the purpose of the song. The song isn't about what the lyrics say; it's about the meaning. It's about like making a point.
Is he's talking from the perspective of a sort of an EDL type, saying such and such get a month, they get a march.
That's it.
I
can't remember what term he uses.
I think for the LGBT community, he uses fairies.
Fairies, exactly. Yeah. And I remember hearing it, and I was
I'm not going to say the racial one. That's not my place.
No. But no,
as a
definitely.
non-binary, I can say fairy all I want. So.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly.
My non-binary privilege.
Yeah. No, I think it's just really clever, and I think I think it's unfortunate sometimes that some of the NOFX songs get like just labelled as just Mike and them saying things that are inappropriate, because people are just looking at it at face value, and it's way more than that. A lot of the time, not all the time.
I was going to say that the difficulty comes from the fact that sometimes there are songs which is just saying inappropriate things for fun. So it's
and that's where you want to just go.
They do muddy their own waters.
They do. They do. Definitely. I think that's deliberate as well, to be fair.
Of course it is. Of course. It's I mean, I suppose if anything, you could go for that the cop-out thing of hey, we're just making fun of everyone. We're making gentle fun of the people in power and severe fun of marginalized groups. So it's the same. That's,
exactly.
That's normal and good. Thanks. Hello everyone, Eddie here. Red and I hope you're enjoying our show. If you have been and would like to help us make it a little more easily, then you can donate to us at our Ko-fi page, which is ko-fi.com/punkrockelite, or you can look in the show notes for our link tree. If you can't help us financially, we totally understand, but would love it if you spread the word to other people who would like this podcast. We thank you for your continued support. We massively appreciate it. Back to the show. There's a line from Stuart Lee about people who don't quit when they should have done. And it was about how people rapidly devaluing their own obituary. Like really watering it down, and I think that sometimes Mike could very much be accused of being someone doing that, but I think he would find a very lukewarm obituary to be quite funny.
Yeah.
So you don't know how much that's on purpose, but that's that's the exciting bit, I guess. So, I mean, get a feeling that we might have already touched on this a little bit, but I don't want to presume too much. So do you have a favourite memory of NOFX?
Obviously seeing him at those big shows and having that opportunity to be like side of stage and up close and personal is mad to think back now. But I do remember when we got an email through and it was just a header and it just said, "I love your band," and I clicked on it and it just said, "I love your band." And then it was like, "I hate it when emails abruptly end ... fatty." And I was like, oh. And I remember I spoke to Lewis and I was like, "We just had this through," and he was like, "Yeah, good one." And I'm like, "No, we really did. Like actually that just came through to us." So that was definitely a surreal moment, and that was like the first moment that we ever spoke. Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
Wow. So that's definitely a memory that I won't forget anytime soon.
That's incredible. And so that so from how was he introduced? Was he sort of was it one of the people who works at the label who sort of found you somehow and passed him on, or?
No, so we recorded with Frank Turner.
Of course.
So we recorded what was going to be an album with him, and we got to the end of it and we were like, he was like, "Here you go, like this is it." And I was like, "What do we do now? Like, where do we put it? Like, do we put it out ourselves? Like, we don't know, how does this work?" And he was like, "Oh, you can do it either way. You can put it out yourself. You can like contact labels and see if they want it." And I was like, "Okay, like is Fat Records and Hellcat, is that too big to think?" And he was like, "No, I'll send it over now." And I was like, "Cool." And then like 15 minutes later, he was like, "Yeah, Mike's really into it." And then we get that email and we were like, "Okay, this is cool." And like at the time, I think we were like, "Well, we're so lucky. Like we were really lucky to like be in that place at that time." And now looking back, I'm like, it's not luck, because actually like we grafted really hard for that. We wrote those songs. We put everything into that, like time, money, everything. And he liked something that it's turning out other people like as well. So it must be all right. So yeah, that's sort of how it began.
Yeah, you make your own luck.
Yeah, I like that. You make your own luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah, there's maybe 1% luck, which can mean all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
But if that's the thing. I like that it was less luck, more Frank Turner's WhatsApp.
Yeah, exactly.
Bless you, Red.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Red is an analogy to singer-songwriters. So
oh no,
mentioned Frank
really
Turner
sorry
a bit
about
too
that.
much.
No.
Yeah,
no.
I've got some tablets that will help with that.
Anti-explanations of songs. That's what it is. It's my no. I like Frank Turner. Red just happened to sneeze at the right time. No, it's good. That's incredible. I mean, those. So you did Leeds, which we saw. You did Hatfield, and then was it Linz?
Yep, Linz in Austria. And, that was hot.
Was it? Oh, really? They were getting the summer a bit before us.
They were. It was unbearable if you're out the front.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was why I was really pleased at Leeds when we were actually in a tent, because the sun was lovely, but it never got crazy there because it was sort of a bit of there was a bit of breeze, and the actual tent was keeping off the worst of the sun. But we also have to mention one of the highlights of Leeds. You're right there.
I think I've lost you. There you go. I've got you back. I lost you for about 5 seconds.
Oh, okay.
I got you back.
Oh, wonderful. Good. Everyone's safe.
We're all safe. Yeah. All safe.
We all survived. We survived the blip of 2023. So, yeah, one of our highlights of both Red and I agreed that one of the highlights of the Leeds Slam Dunk show was not Slam Dunk, Punk and Droblik, whatever it was called. That show was your cover of "Breathe" by The Prodigy, which came out of nowhere, and we looked at each other and went, "Is that?" No, it is, and that was so simply good. Inspired. I mean, I'm not that familiar with Essex, but I'm guessing Keith Flint's from pretty close to where you guys are from.
Yeah. Prodigy. Normally we come in and we say, does anyone know any bands from Essex? And people go, oh, Blur, or I don't know. They go for like big bands. And then no one ever says Prodigy, and so then we say, well, we're going to do a song by the second best band to come out of Essex, and then we go into it.
Right.
But we only actually learnt it for our tour that we came off of before the NOFX shows. Sure. So it was really like out of the blue. I was just fiddling around at home. I was like, oh man, that's Breathe, that's cool. And then I was like, Lewis, you've got to do it. He was like, but I don't know how to play it on drums. I was like, you don't need to like play it on drums like they play it, because they have like backing tracks and everything. Like we play it our way. And he was like, yeah, all right then. And then we went and we played the first tour show, and we just did it, and it came out like that.
Well, he nailed the groove, because the
so
groove
good.
was just absolutely brilliant. It sounded, and again, there's just two of you, and we were astounded. It was just absolutely
we love
wonderful.
it. We love that cover. Yeah, it's staying in the set for the foreseeable, definitely.
Oh, nice. I should hope so. Yeah. That's good, because I was trying to find it on YouTube, see if anyone had filmed it, but you've clearly not played it enough for people to have popped it up on YouTube yet. But
not yet,
which is a fine example of why you should get out there and go and see the Meffs. This should all be convincing you, to be honest.
Exactly.
We were getting evangelical about it. So, my finger is not on the pulse of the UK live music scene as much as it should be. Red's possibly a little more, because Red works at Lead Mill in Sheffield and stuff. Hey. So you know what's going on in Lead Mill in Sheffield, if nothing else, which is more than I do. But since one of the first band I saw since when lockdown sort of ended was Bob Vylan in the Brudenell in Leeds, and that was phenomenal. And I left it too late to get tickets for the next tour, because I went, I better let my girlfriend know that's happening, and then left it more than one day and just gone. So I'm like, okay, well, never. No. But I'd say that Bob Vylan and the Meffs, if you see them anywhere near you, either of them, just go. It would be foolish to not.
We agree. Absolutely. We tell people that all the time. If they don't come, just missing out on a good thing, and no one likes missing out on a good thing.
Absolutely not, because when your shows sell out in a day and someone's not told their girlfriend in time, that's when you'll be going, I wish I'd seen them earlier. So but anyway, so that's the little plug. You've what can currently people? We'll do some plugs here. So where's the best to find your music? Bandcamp? What releases have you got out?
So we've got on streaming. Everything's on streaming platforms now.
Okay, great.
In terms of like buying stuff, we have records. So we've done with the Bottles to the Ground label. They wanted to do 10-inch records. That was what the thing was. That was the selling point. So that's why we, instead of releasing an album, we released 2 EPs, Red and Blue.
Sure.
That will probably be an album at some point. But at the minute they are 2 EPs, and so every time we do a new pressing, it's limited, which is quite nice, because we have a lot of people who like to collect stuff. So yeah, we got the current clear records on Bandcamp. The first releases are gone, I think.
Yeah.
I think there might be a few of the first left, but yeah, I think they're pretty much gone. And then if you're in Europe, you can go on Kings Road merch, and there's a different variety on there, and that's really for shipping purposes because it's a fortune otherwise. And then there's an American one on Fat Wreck. Obviously, you can buy from there as well.
Amazing. Yeah. The B word brings up its ugly head on this show. Again, we've spoken about this far more than we wanted to, but you know, that's just an unfortunate reality.
Yeah.
The only one we've got, unfortunately, but there you go.
It really is.
So go and get all of those, but and also it'll be on all the streaming services, so you can skip through them whilst going, look at me, I'm Lilly.
Exactly. You can exactly do that. Don't skip too fast though, because then the numbers won't count.
There you go. So give it a minute and a half for each one.
Exactly. I like that.
I think that's fair, isn't it? It's like it's like the sort of the gong thing, isn't it? You know, you give it a minute and a half.
Yep.
Which I think is fair.
Yeah.
And then see what you want. But anyway, exactly. All right. So we've got some more of these questions. So here's one. So what do you think is the best way to introduce a non-fan to NOFX?
Number one, check out their interviews on YouTube, especially when Mike gets interviewed. Check them out because, if you're not sold at the end of that, then you're probably not going to like NOFX.
Smart.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, they're quite funny. And go to one of the shows. Go to one of before you even listen to like the back catalogue, because there's a lot of it. Go to one of the final shows, I'd say, because I think the show. There's something about the NOFX shows. I know there's this whole joke about them sucking live, and I know that, things happen, but there's something special about a NOFX show. There's no denying it. You're mesmerised by what they do on stage, and I don't know what it is, but they've got something. So watch an interview, then go to a show and listen to the music afterwards.
Interesting.
That's great.
Work backwards.
Yes. It's good because you work backwards, and so if at any point at any one of those steps you go, this isn't for me, you don't have to go any further. That's possibly the best thought out answer we've had.
Okay.
We've had a lot of people who sort of go do a mixtape, get the best of, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I can't remember who, or someone said just listen to it.
It's
not to convince someone here. It's like I don't need convincing to listen to something.
Yeah.
But that's you're right, because if you can sit through an interview of Mike just sort of not answering the question and asking the interviewer last time he was pegged, then I want to hear what this guy sings about.
You really do, don't you? When I listen, I'm like, whoa, he's not talking about the music at all. This is smart. I want to know more. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. They're a very strange enigma, because for someone who is so relentlessly honest in interviews and stuff, there are big question marks over what songs are about.
Yeah.
And he's not lying in any of the songs. He's just presenting this stuff in a very, very unusual way. It's like, there are debates that I've had with people long before we've had any access to the information about it, because they didn't do interviews for years. It wasn't until like War on Errorism and stuff like that, this sort of anti-Bush and the punk voter stuff, where they sort of came out of interview retirement. But you sort of go, do you think Bob is a real person? You go, could be. Yeah, it's just a lot. It might be like several people he's put together, or it might just made it up. You just don't know. But apparently, real. Just a bloke.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's a very that's a great answer. That's of course your time's running out for getting to go and see them live, because they're calling it quit. I mean, apparently so. They've claimed they're not going to do a kiss and just sort of carry on going, but we'll see. So here's a bit of a biggie. What do you think NOFX's legacy will be?
What will their legacy be? Can you
one.
I mean, although they're going to stop touring, they're all alive and well at the moment.
Sure.
So I think they don't need a legacy. They ain't gonna need a legacy because they're just gonna keep going on. They're just not touring.
I like it. That does sound like a Meffs song as well. Legacies are for the dead.
They are. Legacies are. They are, aren't they? People say about leave. It's either like if they walk away from it all completely and they're like, NOFX is no more. We're not doing any NOFX stuff ever again. Then they'll need a legacy. There'll need to be something. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're just going to stop touring and they're still going to be just exactly how they are now. He's going to be exactly how he is now.
Yeah.
And and they'll still have Punk in Drublic, I should imagine, just with different lineups without NOFX on.
Interesting.
So that could be a legacy. And just, I'll put my hand up for being on that bill.
Of course.
Just in case,
Well, I mean, to be fair, you know, when you're looking at that, you are technically a part of the NOFX legacy. Without NOFX, you don't release this album this way.
Mm-hmm.
All of these
Do you know
things.
what? In that case, can we delete my answer
and
then ask me it again, and I'll say the Meffs is the legacy.
No problem.
Cool.
This is going to be a brilliant soundbite. We'll put this out on the socials.
Yeah.
So, Lily from the Meffs,
Yep.
what do you think NOFX's legacy looks like?
The Meffs. NOFX part 2.
Absolutely.
That was good. Yeah.
That was great. Yeah, that was
That was
top. That was a top 3 answer.
Yeah, brilliant.
Top, absolute top, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, yes.
I love it when a band backs themselves. I really do, because only because I don't believe it when a band's going, well, you know, we don't really know what's going to happen. It's like, why are you doing it then?
Yeah, that's very true. If you don't back yourself, no one else is going to back you.
Exactly. You've got to. Well, it's that thing, you know. I mean, Red and I are both stand-up comedians, and you sort of hear people talking about how bored they are with their set, or you know, I hate all of my jokes. I'm like, write some new ones then. Why on earth would you want to be filling the world with more shit comedy? You know how much there is.
Yeah.
But more so than anyone. Why are you
that's
just
brilliant. Send me some of your stuff, both of you, definitely.
Yeah,
will do, absolutely. I'll stick some
see.
links in an email for you. Yeah. We'll it's wild the way some people might do stuff. But anyway, cool. That's a great answer. And I mean, to be honest, that's a great T-shirt as well. The Meffs, NOFX's legacy.
Yes.
That's.
We did think of bringing out a shirt when we knew we were going to do the support shows. When on one of our videos, someone's written something like, what is it like? Oh, this isn't a fat band or something like that. It's just very. So we were going to do like the Meffs. They may not sound fat. ... And that was going to be our new shirt. And like obviously only fat wreckers would know what that even means, and everyone else would be like, they may not sound fat. Like what? So yeah, we may still do it, but let's see.
It's well, technically not a fat band. You're a Bottles to the Ground band, so you know that's
so true. I love throwing that back in people's faces.
Yeah. It's
you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, someone can read.
Yeah.
Showing off about your education there, aren't we?
So true.
That's the world, isn't it? That's the thing. Cool. So we've come to the final question, and it's one that some people agonize over. But Lily of the Meffs, who's your favourite member of NOFX?
Oh, I probably. Can I rank them?
No one has ever done this. Absolutely, please.
Yes. Yes, please.
Coming in at number 4.
I'm gonna go from. I'll start in number 1.
Oh, okay.
Because we've got a joint number 1.
You're making it even more embarrassing for who's at number 4.
Yeah. So we got a joint. We got a tie at number 1.
Oh, okay.
So we got Melvin.
Uh-huh.
We got El Hef, and we got Smelly at number 1. And then I can't remember who the other member is, but the other one, the one that does the 4-string thing. Well, I don't really know what the instrument is. That
I was going to say, you hate bassists. Clearly.
I don't even know. I mean, 4 strings. You've got to add 2 more.
lazy, isn't it? Slack.
I think it's Mick. Mick is number 2.
Big Mick.
Yeah.
Mick is last. Yeah.
Mick Gordo. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Mick
Yeah.
Bucket, his name is.
This is the best questionnaire we've ever had filled in. I'm going to say
I
it
love
now.
that. That's good. It's honest. You like honesty. You
We
said at
really
some point.
do.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is going to take some beating. So
Total honesty. Unless Mike,
is...
you're watching, in which case, always number 1, baby. Always number 1.
So that's good. I think, that's. I mean, I get it. I also like that you call him El Hef. I'm like, someone's been spending some time with that guy. That's good.
Do you know? I actually haven't. That's
really?
Just El Hef. Sounds good.
Yeah.
El Hef.
Well, we saw. I think we saw all. I think we saw all 4 members at some point or other watching the Meffs from the sidelines at Leeds, because we were because that was the closest we got to the front. As I say, I mean, I get it. Some people have got jobs that take up space during the day.
Yeah.
Not that Red and I would understand what that is so much, but so we were there from we got there at 3:00 when the car park opened and stuff like that. So there will have been some people, it hadn't filled up totally by 4:30 when you guys went on, but we were able to be sort of pretty much right at the barrier, and there were 2 things that I loved about that were not Meffs related. One was clearly the sort of security and training, because there were a lot of sort of like 20-year-old girls who were being given their earplugs. And then the person who handed them out had to go back and show them that you actually sort of rolled them between your thumb and forefinger before putting them in. It's like, oh God, they don't. Oh no, you didn't bring out the new ones for this. This is like, oh no, this is
bad
this is
idea.
a trial by fire, isn't it? This is not, And the other one was spotting the other bands, watching the other bands from the sides of the stage and stuff, and that was exciting. But yeah, they were. They were into it, and that was really, really nice to see. And it was that thing where you worry if it's like a farewell tour. It's like, are they going to be just sort of on the buses, chilling out, doing all the stuff that they claim not to in 60%. They're going to be doing all that, but no, they were out there watching it and getting involved, and I think that speaks very highly of them. And you were a fantastic choice for that. So thank you so much for being brilliant.
No, I agree. That was really they did it in Austria as well. Hatfield, Hatfield anti-flag were side of stage for the whole set, literally on the stage. So little Lilly was stood on stage, and I was like, I think I even said at one point, I was like, this is mad. Basically, I'm like starstruck right now at the thought of anti-flag being side of stage watching the Meffs and like headbanging to it. It's just it's weird. But then NOFX actually for Austria, I think they were there like sat at the back of the stage for like nearly the whole set, and El Jefe had the like glasses and the nose, like the fake mask on for the whole thing. Yeah, exactly that. And they were all sort of like covered up a little bit, but it is surreal but very humbling.
Do you know what? There's a lot of, because I know Hefe's doing acting and stuff now, and so there's a part of me that thinks, was he sort of playing that role? But apparently no, he will just wear Groucho glasses just for the duration of a whole other band set, just sat there like, forgot I'm wearing them, to
exactly
be honest.
Yeah. Why is everyone looking at me funny?
Can't believe no one wants to smell my rose. But anyway, thank you so much for this time you spent with us, Lilly. We've really enjoyed it. You truly are, you and Lewis are both punk rock elites. So thank you for being on Punk Rock Elite, a podcast about NOFX. Any last things you'd like to share with the listeners?
We're going back on tour in November, and it's not announced yet, but I found out yesterday. So
amazing. This will be going out in a few weeks, so it might have been announced by the time it goes out, but
yes, true, it probably will.
These are the kind of things that happen when you plan ahead. But I've got loads of episodes in the bank, so we'll be there. We'll find out. You coming to Leeds?
Absolutely, we actually are coming to Leeds this time. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah,
fantastic.
We're hitting probably about half the places that we went to last time, plus about 15 maybe 10 or 15 like new places, other places.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Cool.
Well, there you go. You've definitely got 2 tickets sold there.
Yes.
Maybe more if we bring our partners.
Oh my God, please do. At least.
No, we will do.
But...
yeah, so thank you so much, Lily. This has been wonderful. I'm just going to stop the recording now. But yes, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
No props.
Oh, shit.
Absolutely.
We told you.
It's a good one.
Really good one. I mean, yeah, what the just such confidence and clarity pours out of her.
Yeah, and some really like interesting, like funny, engaging answers to the questions, not holding back. Really impressed.
I mean, I absolutely love someone who will not take issue with the questions, but will really try. Can I rank them? Oh,
of course you can.
Please do. Don't let us stop you. Oh, go with salivating at that. We're like, oh, this course is going to be delicious. And it was. I love it. By all means, take the opportunity to come on this show and really just have a go at your label boss. There's very few things more punk rock than that. I think it's we'll take the deal, but don't think that makes us friends. Yeah, that was not what was meant. But yeah, it was. Pardon me. What a great chat, and we meant it. If you are near a Meffs gig, and you can go to it, do. It's fantastic. The what comes out of those two is comparable to, as Red said, some of the 3 guitar bands that we saw just at the same gig. It was like, this is nothing.
Yeah, it just sounded thinner than Lily's one guitar.
Yeah. Whatever she does with it, whatever magic ingredient, I hope it stays there for a very long time because, what a great thing. So do go. I'll put the Meffs Bandcamp link in there. They're pretty active on Bandcamp. You get little messages every so often saying, we've got new stuff up, we've got new merch, we've got new this, that, and the other. They'll let you know as soon as it is, and then you can pounce like a coiled cheetah. It's probably animal cruelty in some way, isn't it? But amazing. Any final thoughts on that, Red?
I just think they're one of the most exciting punk bands in the UK right now, and if you haven't seen them or heard them, you simply have to. I hadn't heard of them before seeing them at Leeds, and they've made a really good, lasting impression. Not only with their music, but also with Lily's personality. I think they're just a good pair of eggs.
Absolutely, 2 eggs, both alike in quality. Shakespeare. So that's and also if you want to hear that Breathe cover that we talked about a lot, apparently that's just going to be for live. So you got to go.
Worth price of admission alone.
Oh, absolutely. And all of their stuff is fantastic. They've got videos on YouTube. They've got they're on all the streamers, and when stuff pops up on Bandcamp, you can grab their vinyl. Which I hear is making something of a comeback. And I didn't realize that Bottles to the Ground is all 10 inches.
Yes, I didn't know that.
I didn't have a clue. It seems to be a sort of well, apparently that's how it goes. But cool. All right then. Let's get more 10-inch records, I suppose. Anyway, this has been Punk Rock Elite, a podcast about NOFX. I've been Eddie French.
And I've been Red Redmond.
So, and we'll see you next time. Do like and subscribe and do all of the stuff. That's for YouTube, isn't it? Subscribe. Apparently on Spotify, you can leave little reviews and ratings for individual episodes. So,
but I've heard they do all have to be 5 stars and positive.
Oh, they won't. Yeah, they won't show up otherwise.
No, they just won't.
So, I mean,
so I wouldn't bother.
No. I mean, that's why I have done 0 of them for anyone else. I don't really listen to stuff on Spotify, but that's my only excuse for not positively rating people. But yeah, so do that. We don't really talk about all of the algorithmic stuff that could help us, but let people know about it. And if you've got anything you'd like to share, find us on one of our Instagram posts or punkrockelitepodcast@gmail.com. But until then, we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to Punk Rock Elite. It was a Pick Scraped and Fruitcake co-production by Eddie French and Red Redmond. If you're not following us on Instagram or subscribe to the podcast, please do. The main theme and production was done by Eddie French. Please contact us at punkrockelitepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.